Well, I've had a few people ask me just a little more about my Jeep. I mean, they see it in the videos and stuff, and it's, I'll tell you the truth, it's an eBay Jeep. So I bought it on eBay, had 8,000 miles on it. It was a repo. I bought it for $17,900 in 2009. So it's also an old Jeep. I've had people say, wow, it's a good condition for being so old. And I can't complain. It has 170 plus thousand miles on it, and it's still running the same engine, same transmission, same transfer case, same rear axle, and then a lot of the other stuff has been replaced. Water pumps. I think I'm on the third one for that amount of time on my second alternator. Just things like that. So I figured I'd start with the engine compartment because just kind of give you an idea of some of the stuff that I did that's under the hood that helped my Jeep out. There were problems when I went to 37s that I had to address. I did that through PSC makes the HD2 heavy duty steering box. I put one of those in, but then I found that the stock pump and stock reservoir really weren't up to running the SWEPCO in them. And what I mean by that is it just seemed like it overheated. The fluid would overheat on the smaller pump, and in the middle of the summertime with that big box. So I ended up doing some changing. I ended up getting the PSC pump and the PSC reservoir. The pump, of course, is down here. It's a little smaller wheel, and the PSC reservoir is up there. They want you to have a downflow down to the pump, and the only place I could figure where I can mount it where it would actually be uphill of the pump was back there to have it. You weren't supposed to have any sags in the line. So that's one of the things right off the bat that is different. I'll take you around. And then I added, get my camera over there. I added that cooler. That's for the power steering fluid, and maybe it's overkill. But I put it down there, and it's right at the crack below the grill and between the grill and the fan, so it gets air blowing by there on the highway, and then the fan kind of will get some air blowing around it on the trail. But I just figured, because since I had problems overheating, that was a good way to fix it. You might notice this is a Griffin radiator, which is a little thicker than the stock one, and it's a little larger, has a little more cooling capacity. It is aluminum. I bought that used on eBay. Oh, then when I say this is the eBay Jeep, there's a lot of stuff that is used, and a lot of stuff off of eBay. Some of the people on the forum will see some of their parts used on this Jeep, because if somebody's getting rid of something I need and it's in good shape, I'll sometimes just buy a used part, because I put this together kind of on the cheap, and not intentionally. It's just because that's what my budget allowed. I do have a little oversized alternator there that pumps out a little more electric power. This is my air compressor, and I'll show you. I got this is an ARB high output. There's another one that kind of looks like it that's low output, but this thing will fill a tire in about 2 minutes. It is just crazy fast. This is a pressure switch on it, so as soon as it builds up to pressure, it turns off if you're like moving to another tire or something, and so it keeps it. And then I used a steel line through here, and then this is where I plug in, so I don't have to reach over the top or mess with anything. I can just open the hood, plug in right here, and that's where I fill the tires. You might have noticed I vented all of my differential vents on this side and transfer case vents and everything on the other side. I moved them up. And I don't even know if we can see them. Yeah, you can see them right back in there. I brought them all up higher because I do have water and snow. This is, besides the battery being kind of a mess, with all the lights and stuff. And maybe when one of you guys wants to sell one of your extra boxes, I'll get fancy and wire it all in when I see it for sale. But that's what it is right now, and it hasn't given me any problems in 10 years, so I guess don't mess with it. The battery itself is a Northstar battery. Northstar built these for X2, and then X2 quit selling them, so they were cheap, a little cheaper buying them through X2, through the Battery Plus warehouse, and they work great. You might notice this is not the stock air box, and that's because I have a snorkel under here that I'll show you in a minute. I'm trying to think if there's anything else immediately under the hood that's any different. I don't think so. Other than that, oh, yeah, you might have noticed this mess up here. This is a little rubber spacer. This is a Viper throttle body, and I have a Hypertech programmer which allows you to program for it. I don't know how much difference it really makes. Maybe a few horsepower, but it does seem to keep the mileage. Just having that, and I have a little freer flowing exhaust, it seems like I get a little better mileage than I used to. But that's been on there for 5-6 years now. All of this stuff is I built the Jeep in stages, so each upgrade came as I had money. It wasn't like this was a garage build where, and I did do 99% of all the work myself. All of this I do in my own garage. And then, of course, when I get a sticker, my main thing is I've been sticking them on the hood. Now you might notice these, and I'll show you them from the top as well. I cut vent holes in my hood, 1 there and 3 here, and then same on the other side, 1 and then 3, to let some of the heat out, and when you're going down the road and stuff, to clear it out. Coming around to the front, this is from a Honda Ridgeline, and I did get that from a member, and it just works perfect. It's a transmission cooler, and it, just by bending a couple of tabs, it mounts right to the frame. I mean, this thing is as solid can be, and it just worked great. And one of the guys in the forum had it, and I just put it on there because I think he bought one of the nicer ones. But that thing's been on there for 8 years now or something, and I've never had the hot oil light or any of that ever come on my transmission. So I guess I can move out to the front bumper. So first off, you're going to notice that it's a Mopar bumper, and has KC laser lights, small profile lights on there. I don't like the real big ones, and those are really bright. I had to trim this. The Mopar would come out to about here, the stock, and if you were to look down on it, you would see that if your tire flexed, it would rub into it. So I cut the end of the Mopar bumper off to use it with my lift. And then I kept these rather than going with shackles. Now, I know how the shackles are really, really good, and I use shackles on the rear, and I use shackles a lot. I tell you what, though, in the wintertime, when we're playing in the snow, it is so easy to throw the end of a tow rope around this from somebody else's shackle and yank them out. And it's just such a quick setup. And when you're pulling people out 14 to 20 times a day, I just fell in love with them, and I don't think I'm ever going to replace them. I mean, you could replace them. I just haven't. Because I like how quick and easy they are. And I haven't had any problems with them. So, and this is Smittybilt XRC 12,000 Gen 2. Those are amber fog lights. They're just cheap eBay ones. They work good. That one's cracked, I see, and filling up with water, so they might not be working good for long. But in the meantime, I'll keep those. These are the cheap LED headlights. I think I got them for $36 or something for the pair of them. Here's the Rugged Ridge snorkel, which I really like because you don't have to drill holes in the side of your hood. You don't have to drill holes in the side of the body panel or anything. Just replace the cowl and it mounts right there to the window mounts and goes right up, and it's real solid. It's out of the way. It's not hanging off the side of the vehicle to get caught by branches or anything like that. Doesn't get caught by your windshield wipers. Just works great. Dual rate coil springs. I bought those used from somebody on the line, and the bump stops in there were Terraflex ones that I bought online. Those are Metal Cloak sway bar links that are long enough to keep the bar straight. This Jeep did come with electric sway bar disconnect in '07. It wasn't a Rubicon, but it came with the rear locker and it came with the front disconnect, which apparently in '07 you could order them with that. Here you can see this is the Metal Cloak arm going across there. I had to use Metal Cloak to try to clear that big cover on the Core 44. I did end up putting a Core 44 under here. It was a Dana 30. This does have a locker. It does have 35 spline axles. It has Rancho knuckles, and it's about to get Dynatrac ball joints that I also bought used on the forums. Then all of my steering stuff, other than that, is Synergy. I have the Synergy tie rod, and I have the Synergy going across here. Then I have a Fox ATS stabilizer, the pass-through stabilizer, which works good. I've never had death wobble with this Jeep, so when people talk about death wobble problems, I really have never had it, so it hasn't been a thing I ever had to work my way through that nightmare. It is wet under here because I decided to clean it before doing the video. My lower control arm, you can see back here, that is a rock crawler arm. So it's fixed in the rear end, and it has like a Johnny joint on the front end. And that's for the lower control arms, and the upper control arms are Metal Cloak again. So they all are adjustable arms, so I could get them to the right size. You know, I wouldn't recommend doing that if they were for specific kits. Here you can see my homemade bracket weld job to lower my my drag link there to keep that level. So this is one of my deals that I'm proud of. These are the King adjustable shocks. They're made for a 4-inch lift, and I have my Curry coils are for a 4-inch lift, so it worked good. I got them on eBay for $400 for the whole set, and then I sold my old shocks for $200, so I ended up getting those for like $200. So going underneath the Jeep, you'll see that I have this Synergy cross member, which the Synergy cross member is wider than the stock one. It also fits, if you look up inside, it fits in the stock location, and holes too up underneath there. And then it comes across as a skid plate all the way across and goes forward and covers the transmission up this way. I have Adams drive shaft there, and again, these are Magnaflow cat converter kit and an AFE 3-inch exhaust coming out. So that's about it on the exhaust. The stock transfer case, you might notice it's a lot higher. It's because I tilted it up, slid it in, drilled out the Synergy one, so it actually it sits about an inch higher. It's closer to the transfer case. It still doesn't touch, even when it's flexing. There's enough room. So I just made a couple of new holes and bolted some flush-mounted bolts in there, and used the stock location. So I worked on these a lot, but So when we made these homemade, we wanted these pinch seams to be real strong. So we sandwiched them. So these come through and there's this plate on the pinch seam on each one of these. And they go all the way down. They're plated on each one for 8 bolts and then the 3 into the factory. And I think they're pretty solid. I mean, I think you could probably, one time I tested and I was able to jack the side of the vehicle up with a floor jack using the rock rails, and it didn't bend or anything. So I figured it's probably solid enough to take a few hits. And you know, that's really all we were hoping for. They're not the most attractive, but we made them work. So that kind of gives you the skid plate set up underneath. That is a Rubicon Express gas tank skid plate, which is on top of the factory one. So I didn't replace the factory one, I went over the top of it, and I also had to cut and trim it up there to fit together with the Synergy one, but everything all fits up inside the Synergy cross member. So this is a substantial piece of metal here. I'm not sure that I actually needed it. I mean, if you look at the scrapes under here, there's a few scrapes and dents, but this isn't going anywhere. You can hit this thing. I don't see any significant dents in it. Gas tank has a couple of dents in it. This thing is substantial. I'll say this for Synergy. When they created that piece of work, and it fits perfect. The transmission mounts on it and everything. That thing is like solid. So it's a great addition to hitting rocks, I guess. Show you from the front. That Synergy skid plate. And I put a lip on it so it protects the front of the transmission. Here, you can see some of my work isn't exact. This top line and the bottom line aren't lined up perfect, and there's different things like that. These holes all don't sit exactly perfect that I put in there, but it does what I wanted to do. It gives me the look I wanted to have with it, and I can wash it out, which is kind of important. My mud flaps are homemade, and got some taillight guards. I built covers for them out of the same diamond plate material. So this is the back. I have some heavy duty hinges, and this is a homemade gas tank container. This holds 4-gallon Rotopax, and I built this little framework for it that goes on there. And yeah, this thing has lasted out of all these years, and it keeps lasting, so I keep using it. Of course, I got D-rings and shackles, and then if we were to go underneath here, I got a poison spider cover and exhaust plate, skid plate, which has had metal cloak track bar again, so I have both metal cloak track bar front and rear. These are the Currie springs again, and again the adjustable King shocks, and I have the TerraFlex spring top retainers in there. I have Mountain Goat wedges in here to keep the springs angled right. It's a JKS relocation bracket for getting the track bar up above the housing. This is a big brake kit. You can tell that the rotors are bigger. You can see well, and they got a little larger calipers and stuff on them. I do tow a trailer with it, so I got a trailer hitch put on. And then you might have noticed the hybrid top. If you haven't seen the way these work, the hybrid tops are really handy because they open like that. And in the back, I got a couple of crates and stuff that I've put in here for holding stuff. Up above You can kind of see my high lift jack mounts to the roll bar. I have a shovel above that. You can kind of see that's my snow shovel. I have a regular shovel too. Got a fire extinguisher. The carpet's all gone. I monster lined all the inside, and all the rest of these brackets I just cut out and put into position and use them for strapping things down. The other thing that's kind of cool about the hybrid top, besides having the whole back end open up so you don't have to fight with the bar in the middle and stuff, and then it also defrosts, you see, compared to the stock one. You got the defrost on it, and you can lock it. And then besides that, it has screened windows you can open. So these windows are screened and you can slide them open and get some air in that way. And it's still a soft top when you open it. This has a hard shell around it though. All the way around, this is a hard shell. And then you peel these up, they're just Velcroed. And then you can slide the panels out just like on a regular soft top. Anyhow, that kind of gives you an idea. A little bit about the hybrid top. I talked about the windows. You can see they got this screen window. You just pull it and lock it, open it up, and have ventilation. So if you got your windows down and it's misting or raining out or whatever, you can still have airflow through your Jeep. What a hybrid top is, that's made by Best Top. It does make the front really easy. It's just 2 latches and the whole front folds back. I relocated my third brake light to here. Also, if you look up in there, you see my reverse camera. It's mounted on top of the tire mount so it doesn't move. Anyhow, there's my antenna for my Cobra. Just standard eBay vent flares. This is ta-da. It's an LED Unity light. The interesting thing about this is the housing, it actually came off a 1945 police car. So it was all wired for the old 6-volt systems, and I rewired it, and then I made it so I can use it along the trail. I find that the odd thing about when you're on the trail at night is your headlights don't go where you want to go, or they can't show you what you want to see. Maybe you want to see right where the edge of the road is out your window, and this enables you to take that light, tilt it down, tilt it forward, hang your head out the window. You can see right where the edge of the road is when it's raining, muddy, that sort of thing. You got this extra light that you can put anywhere out here. Plus, when you get to your campsite, if you get there at night, you can direct this to your campsite wherever you're at to help on setup or whatever. I replaced the wire in it, like I said, and put in this I found for a tractor light, and it fit perfect. And so it actually wasn't supposed to be in there. It's supposed to be in a tractor light. I took it out. I put it in the 1945 light, and I have a spare one of those now. And that was a great find, and it works great. So let me talk just a little bit about my lift kit. Again, it's a Frankenstein kit. The coils are Curry coils because the kit I bought didn't have the coils with it anymore. So I had to buy, didn't have the front sway bar links, so I bought Metal Cloak sway bar links front and rear. It didn't have a few pieces to it, but it did have the adjustable control arms, the lower ones, and then I have the Metal Cloak upper ones. And what I basically did is, this is the Rock Crawler 4-inch mid-arm kit. And so it had all the instructions for the length of the arms and stuff to be lengthened over stock. And the front axle actually sits 1 inch forward, and the rear axle sits 1 inch rear from the stock location. On the inside, about the only things that are significant, that are different than maybe what yours is some stuff I did here and there. This is, down here, this is for the Cobra CB, and I have a little thing to hold the wire, and I have a thing to hold the head unit up there, so I string that there. Garbage bag. I did put in heated seats. These front seats are heated, and so I put the switches right here. I got high and low heat on those, and they work great. It's my wife's favorite thing about this Jeep. And then that's for my ARB air compressor. Got a switch in the middle of the panel there for it. This is a Jensen. Has navigation, has a backup camera. You can watch movies on it. It does radio, it does CD. I really can't complain about it. They're about $250, and they don't fit exact, so I made it fit. And used some Warrior diamond plate on it. And those handles are Drake handles. That one wasn't supposed to be on a transfer case. It was supposed to be, somebody bought it for the wrong year Jeep. I just cut it off and made it work for that. What else might I have? Got, of course, the handlebars here, and little grab handles everywhere. Everybody has those. Got the Daystar front carrier. And, okay, so over there, that is the switch for my front locker. And that's a magnetic tool holder that I wrapped around the roll bar. Works great. You can stick things up on it, and it just holds them. This is the homemade T-bar that I made. So from the front up here back to about even with the back of this metal bar is two sandwiched, welded to the roll bar metal plates, half circle. And then this is welded to those. And then these are welded together here. And then over each of the sections, as you go back, these are cut out and welded to the factory sections. So it welds here, and then it welds back there over the top of those cross members. So, and then I put in the Poison Spider rear-mounted mounts that go up, and they're welded onto. They're at the top, so I got lots of extra reinforcement in the stock roll cage. I do have dogs come with me, so that's pet barrier to keep only their noses out, because otherwise they'd be in the seat. A first aid kit. I added the Mish door handles. I don't know if you're familiar with those. So here you can see the bed rug. It tucks in and stuff, and underneath it is all the Monster Liner. I put it in over the top of it just to help deaden the sound and keep it a little warmer in the winter time. I found when I went straight down to the bare metal, it did make things hotter in the summertime and colder in the wintertime, so I put the bed rug back in. But it's not actually a rug, it's just a piece of rubber, and I can pull it out. It's in like 4 pieces, and I can wash it with a hose. So even though it's not real clean, I'll show you around here a little bit. You see I got little containers where I can keep tape and duct tape handy. That's just my winch controller, a soft shackle, backpack. I got little things stuffed here and there, but in tool compartment, here you got tow ropes and stuff in here. It just zips. Got a few other air tools and stuff in here. I got my jumper cables in the back.